Joining us now from the Tennessee Star, political correspondent Neil McCabe. Neil, great to have you.
John, the Godzilla, it's an honor.
There's only one Neil McCabe from the Tennessee Star. Neil, you're the man. Your debate analysis. Let's have it.
It was like, I don't know if you're old enough to remember this toy they used to sell called Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Yes, of course. I'm 62. I remember Rock'em Sock'em. You put them in a little plastic ring, and there are two robots, and they got boxing gloves, and you hit the buttons, and they punch each other, and the head pops off.
Exactly. So you just keep punching until the guy's head pops off, and that's what we saw last night.
Right.
But I thought that the president got his licks in. Obviously, Biden had a plan. The two issues where Biden is leading the president are COVID and race relations, and so that's why he had to sort of bang that drum. The one issue where Trump really has the biggest lead over Biden is the economy, so obviously he had to talk about the economy. But what is frustrating about last night and really any debate involving Republicans is that, the moderator, I don't know if you picked up that Chris Wallace, he wasn't so much a moderator, he was sort of an agent provocateur on behalf of the Biden campaign, so that every issue that the Biden campaign has against Trump was brought up by Wallace. And no issues that Trump has against Biden were brought up by Wallace. And I saw it, I don't know if it's true or not, but it made sense to me. Somebody calculated that Wallace interrupted Trump 35 times. Biden, goose egg. Is that what you saw, John?
I saw look, for 3.5 hours we have been railing against Chris Wallace. He's a fraud. He's a phony. He got exposed, and we're done with him. I got to tell you that 35 times, you're right, he interrupted Trump 35 times, interrupted Biden 0. He asked all the questions that the Biden campaign is hammering Trump on. He didn't ask Biden a single one going the opposite way. In fact, I thought the debate last night was Trump versus Wallace, and Biden was like a bystander. Basically, Wallace was riding shotgun for Joe Biden. That thing was such a sham last night, and it was shameful. And the shouting back and forth. But Wallace was right there, inducing all of it, arguing with the president. I mean, and like the president said in the first 10 minutes, he's like, "Who am I debating?" It's like I'm debating Chris Wallace here. Or he said, I'm debating you or whatever. So that was a sham. It was the whole thing's a scam. Everybody's onto him though now. I mean, it was so. Look, normally these moderators try to hide it a little bit. They try really hard to hide the bias is there. Everybody knows it. But Wallace was just blatant. He was like, "Hey, I'm for Team Biden, and I'm here to help Biden and hurt you, and I'm not going to make any bones about it." That's basically what happened last night, Neil. Whatever time you've got remaining, Neil, I want you to tell us about the undercover work you guys did and the ballot harvesting vote fraud scheme you uncovered in Minnesota.
Every 2 years, Project Veritas and Project Veritas Action journalists make a special focus on voter and election fraud. So this cycle is no different. What we do is we send our investigators across the country and we see what's out there. A few months ago, we started getting traction inside the Somali community in Minneapolis, specifically 6. But Ward 6 is really the heart of that Somali American community in Minneapolis and the power base of Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Our investigators were able to record Somalis who talked about the corruption and the culture of corruption surrounding the ballot harvesting and the vote buying. We also had a Somali American insider, someone who's been active in the community for 20 years, who stepped forward to sort of help us and to sort of explain what's going on. For John, there's almost like this Navajo code talk. Everyone there is speaking Somali, and that's just not a common language here in the United States. So it's difficult for a reporter, let alone an FBI agent, to just sort of listen in on what's going on. will say this: we have stuff on tape. We have someone being paid cash for ballot registration papers so that they can do a mail-in ballot. We have people on tape talking about how Elon Omar's operatives knocked on the door, demanded their mail-in ballot, told them to fill it out right now, and they took it away. They told the person, this year, you're voting for Omar. But the most damning videos were the Snapchat videos posted by Liban Mohammed, where he says he has a car full of absentee ballots. He said he had 300 ballots in his car, and he's showing a dashboard just stacked with ballots, John. And I got to tell you, the framers of the Constitution never, ballot warlord in Minneapolis driving with 300 ballots that are obviously not his. It's important for local law enforcement to investigate. We got word that the Minneapolis Police Department is looking into it. But where is the FBI? We either have an FBI or we don't. And if the FBI is no longer going to go investigate crimes like this less than a month before the election, well, then maybe we need something else, because we used to have an FBI. I think we could use an FBI in the future, but we need an FBI right now to investigate what Project Veritas has done. And frankly, we're doing the FBI's job for them.
So Neil McCabe, let me get this straight, spokesperson for Veritas. So got a guy that's got 300 ballots in his car. He went door to door in the Somalia community. Did you say paying for people to fill out these ballots and hand it to him? Like, how did he obtain them? Just walk us through that again. How does he have 300 ballots in the back seat of his car?
He collects the ballots. It's unclear how he collects the ballots. What is clear, that his car is full of ballots that are not his. The legal limit in Minnesota is that you are allowed to carry in and deliver up to 3 ballots that do not belong to you. These are mail-in ballots. So he has 100 times the legal limit. Now, we have people in the Somali community who talk to us on tape, either hidden camera or straight up on the record interview, who talked about there's intimidation and there's vote buying. We also posted a video of someone, exchanging a ballot or ballot registration for cash. And so, there's great diversity in how this election is being run, and we see it. We see intimidation, we see vote buying, and then we just see straight up theft of ballots. And so we see it in Minneapolis, but it's happening all over the country, John.
So you go to somebody's door. I mean, they have to have a ballot they got in the mail. You offer them $20 to fill it out. You're there when they fill it out. You say, vote for these people. I'll give you $10, $20, $15, whatever it is, walking around money. And then you hand it into them and you put it in the back seat of your car and you go around the Somali community or other communities doing that. And all of a sudden you end up with 3, 4, 5, 6, 700 ballots voting the way you want, because you've either intimidated the person to voting that way or you've paid them, or a comma of the two, right? I mean, it's all illegal.
Right. In Minneapolis, there is a ballot harvesting triangle between the senior facilities called the Horn Towers, where hundreds of seniors live. There is a public housing development called River Plaza, and then there's the voting center run by the city where people can drop off ballots or vote in person. And so basically that's the triangle. And so there's intimidation, there's vote buying, and then there's just straight out fraud. And so whatever's happening there, John, it ain't kosher. It ain't cricket. It's not what was supposed to happen. All Americans, if they lose an election, will accept losing a fair fight. The problem is, when you lose an election and it was rigged, that's when people get bitter and resentful and, frankly, violent.
Well, that's what's coming down here, Neil. And look, you got to stay on this. Excellent work. Thank you for doing for Veritas doing what you're doing. John Fredericks Radio Network.